This is a trumpet that goes on forever. It starts wide, and it narrows, and it keeps narrowing, stretching out to infinity and never ending. It's called Gabriel's horn, and it hides a contradiction that took mathematicians centuries to make peace with. This horn has a finite volume. You could fill it with a measured amount of liquid, but its surface, the skin of the horn, has infinite area. Finite on the inside, infinite on the outside, the same single object. Let me show you how that's even possible. Building it is surprisingly simple. Start with one of the most basic curves in math, y equals 1 over x. As x grows, the curve drops towards 0, getting closer and closer to the axis but never touching it. Now take that curve from x equals 1 onward and spin it around the horizontal axis. As it rotates, it sweeps out a smooth, hollow shape, wide at the mouth, tapering into an endlessly thin tail. That shape is Gabriel's horn. First, the volume. How much space is inside the horn? Using calculus, you add up infinitely many tiny disks along its length. The math gives a clean, finite answer. The volume is exactly pi. Not approximately, exactly pi. So even though the horn is infinitely long, the space inside it is limited. You could pour in pi cubic units of water and it would fill the entire thing, all the way to infinity. Now, the surface area. You'd think if the volume is finite, the surface should be 2. It isn't. When you set up the integral for the outer surface, it behaves like adding up 1 over x forever. And that sum has no limit. It grows without end. The surface area of Gabriel's horn is infinite. So we have a single shape with a finite volume and an infinite surface wrapped around it. And here's the part that breaks people. Since the volume is just pi, you could fill the whole horn with pi units of paint, completely full. But the inner surface of that same horn is infinite. So that paint, enough to fill the entire shape, could never be spread thin enough to coat the inside walls. You can fill it, you cannot paint it. The paint that fills it touches every part of the surface and still isn't enough to cover it. Finite and infinite, arguing inside one object that you could, in theory, hold in your hands. So that's 6, and that's the end of this trilogy. Your intuition has now lost to 2 birthdays worth of paradoxes, a goat, a 9 that won't quit, infinities of different sizes, a hotel that never fills, and a horn that bends the rules of finite and infinite. Brain, 0, math, 6. But the streak doesn't have to end here. The whole series is linked, so you can go back to the very beginning and watch your intuition lose all over again. Subscribe, because there's always another impossible thing, and your brain still hasn't won a single round.